are some of the other jobs that you all have that in the shipyard that in general? Because you're one section of about how many people approximately?
I own the yard. This is my guess. I've heard the numbers, but it's not. I can't think. It's somewhere around 200.
And
So
is that the shipyard as a whole, or just in the
that's the
metals?
shipyard as a whole. So operations is what we fall under, and that's all the vessels out there working on the Mississippi. We're somewhere 400 plus.
Mhm.
I know it's 400 plus. I don't know the exact number. And a large group, large subsect is made up of what's at Ensley. I don't know the exact number. The way this works is the metals unit drives a shipyard. People don't come to a shipyard because you need a plumber. If your boat needs a plumber and you're out at work, you call a plumber. But you come here for that periodic maintenance or that emergency repair that's got to take you out of work. And that's going to be
Right.
metal work on a boat. You come here though, and we're building new bedrooms for the Dredge Hurley. So that means one of the other units we have that we work with, we've got the shops unit. Well, the shops unit is made up of carpenters, electricians, plumbers, HVAC. All the other building trades are housed in that unit. And so we've got that. We've got a mechanic shop that works on all. We've got one barge that when it shows up, it's loaded with nothing but the giant D8 bulldozers. And so we've got mechanics here that work on all that stuff, the excavators, all the things that move dirt. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just trying to. So we're basically the mechanics, and then all your building trades are here, and we've got a section of what we call navigation. So there are survey boats, and they look more like, and we work on those as well. They're like large speedboats, and so you've got a guy driving that in a grid in a section of river. You've got a guy with a computer, and they're running radar, and they're just surveying the bottom of the river to see how shallow it is, and that's gonna prescribe next year's or the next decade's work as they find areas that need some love out on the river.
So everybody knows there's a big drought going on, and the Mississippi River has been hit pretty hard by it. We've felt it out here in Tulsa as well. We just got some rain that came through. Did it hit you all?
Yeah, it's been pouring today.
Oh, good. Yeah. Hopefully it keeps up.
Yeah, we need it bad. So if you're getting to how it's affected us, the string out I told you about is sitting on dirt. So it's supposed to be a floating dock system. It's sitting on dirt. The draft in some of our areas was below 7 feet. So that means none of our vessels can crank up and move around during that time. The dry docks work a lot better when you can use a crane barge for support. You've got a crane out there on the river. Crane couldn't get to us, and it is destroying our dock system. So when you put that down on the dirt, it's not meant to do that, and it's just breaking and crushing those barges in. It's done a lot. It's done as much damage. The older senior guys say this is as bad as they've ever seen it, and it's just staying this way. It's come up some, but it'll come up a few feet and then it'll just bottom back out on us.
Oh, really? And that's one of the things, because when you start getting those flows again, you start getting that sand coming down the river and the silt moving down the river, and then it drops as the river starts to drop, right? So it drops all that, and that's why you need all these dredges out there doing that work. And it's kind of unique, I guess. Well, I don't know if I'd say unique. We do some dredging here, particularly after flood events. We've had to do a lot of dredging, but we also do a lot of contracted dredging. But out on the Mississippi portion, it's Corps pushing the dredging.
The Corps are the workhorses, but there's plenty of work to go around. There's a lot of private dredges. Matter of fact, last season we've got the largest dredge inland in the nation, the Hurley, and we had a contract dredge right out here in our backyard doing some work. So I don't know the ins and outs of how that works, but I know that there's contracted vessels all up and down the Mississippi River. And then you got to think the tributary systems as well. It's I was able to go to the Motor Vessel Mississippi, which is housed in Memphis, has public hearings a couple of times a year, the high water and low water inspection. And I visited that and got to see farmers and representatives coming and pleading their case. And the hot item last year, they were talking about the White River in Arkansas. And so that's not the Mississippi River, but there's plenty of business. There's plenty of businesses that want that navigable again, and they're expecting the Corps to get to work on it. So there's a lot going on. I mean, the Mississippi River is my bread and butter. It's what I know. It's right out my back door. But there's all kinds of other work and other vessels that we do deal with.
There, you mentioned the White River. That pretty much connects the McClellan-Kerr Arkansas River navigation system from the Arkansas River to the Mississippi River. So, we actually, there was a guy took a sailboat that he rented, or no, purchased, excuse me, and refurbished. And he essentially, he had the motor. He didn't use the sails, of course. At least I don't think he did. And he basically took it from Tulsa down to Baton Rouge. So I'm assuming he locked through. Well, he had to have locked through all that. So he had to go up the Mississippi, up to Baton Rouge to do all that. And it was kind of interesting to see that you can go all the way from, which is how we send the Mr. Pat, or one of our working vessels, from the Tulsa District all the way up to you guys to do some work. I know we sent it out there a few years ago. I'm assuming we'll probably end up having another work barge or something coming out there eventually in the near future.
I'm sure. And I've been talking to people from the St. Paul district, and we've got the Getz coming. And there's another one. I'm bad with some of these vessels we've never worked on before, but there's one that's named after a general, and it's coming down too. And this will be first of next year. They've got dry dock times on our big dry dock scheduled. And the conversation is, we want you guys to do all our work in the future. And, and so there's a lot that I feel like, and I give credit to my boss, Paul Lacey. He took this area from just government work, kind of, getting enough done and getting it down the river to making us a shop of excellence. And I think that the signals went out. The problem is, do we have time to get to you? Do we have the manpower? But other than those two things, I would say that anybody in USACE, that they want their vessels worked on here.
And getting that manpower is important. So can you talk about the need for the qualified app? You kind of touched on it where you said, if somebody's interested in doing that type of work and really contributing to the infrastructure of the nation, especially through metals work, or metal work, excuse me, they can start out like that. But can you talk about that need and
not only our industry, my wife manages a company that has all the trades, and they're in the same boat. You not only need bodies, but you need young people that show up on time, that work hard independently. And so we get people that apply for the jobs, but a lot of times I'm seeing, and this is just a shout to everybody listening or has young people that are interested in these jobs, I see resumes and it just says worked at Walmart.
Right.
There's a lot of that. I do a lot of outreach, talking to other colleges, and this is something I'm hearing from a lot of industry. Break that down. If you've never done metalwork, but you've had it in school, I want to hear, I showed up to class every day on time. These are the tools I know how to work. Hey, with my dad in his garage, I've used these tools. You can expand on those areas that you do know. And so there's a drought of people really taking the time to prepare for that resume. And the ones that do just shine through. But we need skilled workers. The young people are winning the day because I think there was a deficit, and now that wave has started to show, and people realize, hey, HVAC's where it's at. I don't want to go to a four-year college. Metalworking is where it's at. So we're getting a wave of young people, but that also means that if you're in the middle of your career and you're a metal worker and you're a journeyman and you've got real skill, like, we want you. That makes you that much more valuable, because if I know I can go out there and hire 10 young people straight out of trade school, I've got to have somebody to lead them. I need that mid-career person that can take 4 or 5 fairly green workers, but we need it all. But I would say that the biggest deficit right now is that middle career person that's journeyman level.
What would you say to somebody who's interested? Why should they come to Ensley or to the Corps to do this type of work? versus anywhere else?
I'm probably a bad one. I'm overly optimistic. If people tell me, but I love our work. I love what we do. You are guaranteed a job. COVID, everybody, all the things that happened with COVID, all the desperation. I was getting 40 hours overtime a week. If I wanted it, it was here. And that is year round. We're so busy. There are so many projects for the Corps of Engineers. It's going to be a stable job. You're going to be cross trained. I'm crane certified. I'm a rigger. There's so many different things I can tell you that I do that have nothing to do with metal work.
But are you forklift certified?
Oh, absolutely forklift certified. I'll drive them as big as you want them. But all of that, that's right out of high school. These guys were getting them through that, and then they're jumping on large pieces of equipment. And all of those things are things you're going to put in your back pocket at a very young age. There's no age limit for us. I mean, I've got guys driving huge off-road articulating forklifts. They're 19. And so once you get all of that, you're going to have multiple certifications by the time you leave. Even if you're not a welder, if you're an electrician here, you're going to start to gain all of those things that the industry is looking for. You're going to get an OSHA 30 or an OSHA 10, depending on what your boss deems. It's constant. I've been to 4 training classes this year, brushing up on AutoCAD. If that's something you're interested in, we'll train you to do AutoCAD. We've had a large, this is a big plug, I think, a lot of fun toys we get to play with. We've had a huge plasma table that I've been one of the few people that runs here in the metals unit. It'll cut a 20 by 8 foot sheet of metal. It can cut up to 3 inches thick. Well, we just threw it out the door. We're done with it. And now we've got an even larger water jet from Flow Systems. And this thing's massive. I've actually been traveling and busy. I haven't been trained on it yet. But, I mean, the thing is insane. It looks like something out of the future. It's got an articulating arm. It won't just cut in the flat position. It can cut plate, cut pipe, bevel it. So we're kind of stepping into the future.
And now you said earlier, you're guaranteed a job. You don't mean you're guaranteed to get hired. You mean if you get hired, you're guaranteed to get work.
Yes. And you're building that education that's hands-on. The hiring process is a tough process. You've got to go through USA Jobs. It's something I think multiple agencies are dealing with to make it more user-friendly, but it's definitely worth the headache. Get in there and do the best you can with it. Put a good resume in the system. But no, you're not guaranteed a job. Hopefully, if we're doing everything right, it'll be very competitive. But once you get on here, you're gonna get the kind of training and the kind of people around you with the kind of expertise that'll go a long way.
And I mean, the type of skills that you learn, even if say you did it for 10 years, right, 15 years, you end up with enough skills where if you wanted to end up starting your own business somewhere doing metalwork, whether it's, I don't know, making rims or like the Orange County chopper type thing,
Sure.
You've got those skills to learn to do some things with metal that are quite artistic,
Oh, sure. We've got a lot of our guys, if they want to, most of us. The only time I had a guy call me last week wanting me to do a welding job, and I said the only time I look at my welder is to check my shop and make sure nobody's stolen it. So I get plenty. But there are guys that do side jobs. We've got a guy that repairs for one of the ATV dealerships if they have something that they need fixed. So the work is as wide, from duct blinds around here, you name it. People are hot for good welders, but also the industry and the world is starting to change where they see us as important pieces of leadership. It's really hard to function and run a shipyard without having some input from the people that are the metal workers. So you could go into scheduling, this is project management, all the projects running. So it starts to turn into, we just had a machinist that went from a machinist to now he's on the GS side as an engineering tech. So you don't have to just stay in the trades. You could very easily come to metals unit and work for several years and end up one day being a project manager on the GS side.
Joey, what have I not asked you that I should have asked you?
There's nothing, I'm not having any large, big thoughts here at the end. I would say that I've talked heavily about the metalworking welder side. We have a whole nother side of our shop that's machinists. They've got capabilities, so they're making our rudders, our shafts, they're laser aligning engines. There's a lot of large moving parts that it would take an hour to explain, but there's large hinge sections of these vessels, and they have to be perfect. And when you're talking about something that large, you don't want it eating itself because it's not aligned properly. So they're going in and they're doing very detailed operations on these vessels. And they also tend to not get as dirty as we. So that's also a pretty good industry to get into, is the machining side of things. We have 4 Haas CNC machines now, hundreds of thousands of dollars a piece, and we're gaining more. So we're a shop that has lathes and mills that were made in the 50s. And then we have state-of-the-art Haas CNC type lathes and mills and presses as well.
Oh, wow. Well, Joey, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I know we've been working to get this thing together for a while
Sure.
now, and we've had some technological issues on my end, at least. Thank you so much for your time today, this evening, and I hope you all get the rain you need. I hope we all get the rain we need as well. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us.
I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, and hopefully when the Mr. Pat goes out there again, I'll get to come out and visit you face to face or something. Maybe.
They usually visit every couple of years. I think we'll get her back in here pretty soon.
Hopefully. Well, I don't know if I want to say hopefully or not. I don't know.
Right.
Well, thank you for joining us for Corpstruction.
Thank you,
Corpstruction is a production of the Tulsa District, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Public Affairs Office. This episode of Corpstruction was brought to you by the Ensley Engineer Shipyard of the Memphis District. Thank you for joining us, and have a great day.